This has just been an amazing 24 hours. And what better way to bring this all together than with an incredible closing keynote that not only will ensure that we leave inspired, but will give us a call to action and a reminder of the importance of putting ourselves at the center so that we can be the best iteration of ourselves, so that we can share and inform and bring passion and followership to others to come along with us. And it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage, we're almost there. We got 3 chairs left. Are these 3 chairs leaving? Yes, they are. Okay. All right. So stay with me. Let me brag a little bit about who's going to introduce our speaker, but let me welcome to the stage Rosemary Becky, who's going to introduce our closing keynote. But let me just say, Rosemary, in and of herself, is an amazingly accomplished woman. You can learn more about Rosemary in our award-winning magazine, New Jersey Business. These were on the table. I hope you grabbed some yesterday, also a virtual edition. I encourage you all to keep the momentum of today going because we have profiles on about 20 women in here who you heard over the last couple days. Read more about their leadership journey and continue to be inspired when you leave here today. Rosemary is the founder of Jersey First and the New Jersey Policy Institute. She is a great colleague to NJBIA in helping to move policy, but a leader in her own right. I invite her to come up and introduce our closing keynote speaker.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, I am so excited to introduce you to our keynote speaker, who is a very good friend of mine, Emily Lampkin. Emily is the founder of the Women's Leaders Series, which is a culmination of her 25 years of mentoring and advising women leaders throughout the world. She is an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, and one of the most connected people in Washington, D.C. She is part of the Speaker Series at the State Department, as well as part of the Department of Virginia Economic Development Partnership. And I have a secret to share with you. She has a book coming out very soon. So please welcome Emily Lampkin.
I like going last because we're going to have some fun. As Rosemary said, I have worked in business and government my whole career. And while I was doing that, I was studying what made women successful. And not just successful, meaning you've got a fancy title, but who are the women who were getting up every morning, thriving in their life? And I took notes, and over time it became clear they excelled in 3 areas. Number 1, selling you. They had a brand, they knew how to clearly communicate who they are, and they used that to get what they wanted. 2, widening the circle. These women were building and utilizing a dynamic network to get what they wanted. 3, these women were going now. They weren't waiting for things to happen. And they were getting out of their own way. And they were using that to do what? Get what they wanted. What makes the Women Leader Series unique is this is usable, doable, and effective in whatever way you're leading in your life. When I originally founded the Women Leader Series, I could have never imagined that this method would become a movement, both here and worldwide. Are you ready to perfect the tools you already have? All right, let's go. Selling you. Selling you and having a brand that's effective starts with clear messaging about you and what you want. This is a message grid, used oftentimes in advertising and sales, and frankly, back in my hometown, in political campaigns. The most important thing to note here is them on us. What is your opposition? What is your competition going to say about you? Because your message, your brand, relies on you heading off what they're going to say about you in what is in this top grid, us on us. How do you define yourself? We often want to define ourselves with all the rainbows and unicorns, right? All the fabulous things about us. You need to know what your opposition's going to say about you because you're going to head off that with your message. Once you have a message grid put together, you need to know who you're talking to. Men and women communicate differently. Our brains are wired differently. And if you're communicating with a man the same way you would communicate with a woman, you're losing. Let me give you some examples. We are looking to communicate from a place of consensus. That's why our conversations often take longer to begin, right? We're looking for something in common to start a conversation. Men's brains are not wired like that. Their brains are wired that there's one up and one down in a conversation. And when men are wired like that, we have to communicate differently with them. Here's one way. If I'm talking to a man who's a one-up in a conversation, I'm going to use the term I versus we, which is what I would use with a woman. I'm going to take clear credit for my accomplishments. He's expecting that. I may also interrupt him, something I would never do with you all. But since I'm really good at communicating with men because I've perfected my selling you, I'm going to do it in a way that he's going to like. It's going to say something like this. Oh, you'll appreciate this. Then he's drawn into what I'm saying, and I have a better opportunity to communicate with him. All right, so you've got a message grid. You know what you're going to say about yourself because you understand where your opposition is coming from. You know who your audience is. Then, what am I going to do with all of that information? These are all the things that are part of having a brand, and none of it works until you perfect a selling you pitch. Anybody here familiar with an elevator pitch? Okay, this is similar but better. A selling you pitch starts with a smile. I know many of these things you all already know. That's why I call it perfecting the tools you already have. But when it comes to a selling you pitch, you have a mere moment to make a first impression. And the only way to do that is with a genuine smile. Number two, your selling you pitch needs to be brief. 30 seconds should be your goal. Can you stretch it up to 60 seconds? Possibly. You go any longer, you've lost your audience. 3, you need to say your name clearly. That's your first and last name. And I always tell women, if you're lucky enough to have a name that everybody's not familiar with, please use a phonetic tool or something else to help people understand how to properly pronounce your name. We want to use your name in conversation, and you want people to use it, but you got to help us out. 3, and I've heard some of this today, is the who I am. What you don't want to hear is the reading of the resume. The reading of the resume is boring. It's also ineffective. What you want to do is tell a story. This is where women excel. We are great storytellers. Has my husband told me at times I never let the truth get in the way of a good one? Yes, but I'm a great storyteller, so are you. Put your message in the form of a story and tell a brief story. Finally, a selling you pitch has an ask. This is where we do not excel, asking for what we want. So at the end of every selling you pitch you deliver, you're going to ask for something. It could be as simple as, I'd like to know more about you. Tell me how you know the host. Tell me about your business. What I have learned is women who are thriving in their lives are asking for what they want, and that also means when we ask for big things, I'd like a $50,000 investment in my business, becomes a whole lot easier and is delivered with a whole lot more confidence when we're used to asking for what we want. The other last piece of a selling you pitch I want to share with you is after you make that ask, you need a hard stop. We get a little bit nervous in silence. It makes us uncomfortable. We got to get comfortable being uncomfortable because there is power in that silence. I hear endless stories from women. They got what they wanted because they sat there in that silence. Let's do that and let's practice. Okay, so you now have a selling you pitch. And one other thing you need to do is you need to practice it. And I've heard some of the guests describe it in different ways about the mentor or somebody you can ask for help or honest input. I call it a swimsuit friend. And that's why I like being in audiences with women, is we have a unique appreciation for this. You kind of already know what it is. It's not the "you're so pretty" friend, that friend who, no matter if you haven't washed your hair in 4 days, says, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty." Not that friend. She's going to tell you your selling you pitch is fantastic, even if it still needs work. You're going to practice with your swimsuit friend, the friend you would take swimsuit shopping with you because she's going to tell you the truth. Now we're getting to the fun part, widening the circle. Women are building and maintaining a dynamic network both in person and on social media. If you're looking to potentially take notes in the back of that fabulous booklet that Michelle gave you, now would be the time. I'm going to walk you through some of the basics of working an event for success. You are all capable of doing this even better than you do it now. Number one, you need to have a plan. Never go to an event without a plan. What am I getting out of this? What do I want? It can be as simple as I'm going to meet 3 new people and thank the host for inviting me. Or it could be really targeted, right? Sometimes we go to an event because we're looking to be introduced to somebody in particular. And a hint is, I often go to the host and ask them to directly introduce me to that person I want to meet. What a better way to show your credibility from the beginning, but to ask that. Number 2, you do not have to go to the whole thing. I think we often block on our schedule. It's a 2-hour event, and so we block 2 hours on our calendar. You don't need to do that. If you've got a plan in place, you can go for 20 minutes, accomplish everything you want to accomplish, and you still have time to go to your child's sporting event or meet friends for dinner. So I live in Washington, D.C., the home of the networking event. I can knock out 3 or 4 in a night because every time I'm walking in, I know exactly what I want to get out of it, and I can walk out and go to the next one. You need to have some questions you would ask to start a conversation. How do you know the host? Have you been to this event before? And there's funner questions you can ask as well. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? If you could quit your job tomorrow and do something completely different, what would you do? As we've heard today, people are looking to make a human connection. That's imperative to doing business. So make that human connection with somebody. Be prepared with your selling you pitch. This is where you deliver it, and this is where you learn what needs to be tweaked. You can tag team with somebody. I have a variety of different colleagues and friends that I tag team at events with because we know different groups of people, we can share who we know, and who enjoy this kind of activity, and so it always becomes more enjoyable as well. Next, I'm going to tell you about the power of a line at an event. You're going to know all my secrets. I always say I don't go to an event to drink or eat. My goal is to take my plan into action there. But you can often find me in the bar line or the food line. Why? Everybody is paralyzed there. No one has anywhere to go. You get to meet everybody in front of you and everybody behind you. Years ago, I was in line for a White House event, and the security line was very long. You all, I think I knew 60 people by the time I got in there. Nobody's going anywhere. Why not? Collect them, put them in your LinkedIn. Trade business cards, trade stories. Finally, another strength for women, wear something memorable. Some people wear bright clothes. I have a friend who's an introvert, and when she goes to conferences, she carries a fun handbag. It makes it easier for other people to approach her and for her to start conversations. Now, I will tell you, we women love compliments. This doesn't translate as well to men. I also often say with networking events, one of my asks I'll ask women at the end is, I would like to be your friend. I have learned through practical experience you cannot use that line with men because they confuse friendship with other things. So use that exclusively with women. Once you get confident working an event, your next goal is to be an influential. All right, I need a raising of the hands again. Has anybody here ever been asked, what do you use to whiten your teeth? Where did you get your dress? Who's your OBGYN? Anybody? Nobody's ever been asked a question like this. Who are you voting for in an election? What do you think of this company or stock? You are an influential. Data shows that 10% of Americans tell the other 90% what to do. People already recognize you are a leader. And thank you for being a woman leader. What a difference we make in the world. What you need to do now, because there's a higher obligation with leadership, is to connect other people. I call the gold standard of being an influential is being a connector. There, my friends, is where the power lies in networking. When you're at the center of the wheel connecting other people, you enjoy the power. Now, how do you do that, Emily? And by the way, if anybody out there is thinking all of this is terrific because she's going to have this idea that I'm about ready to share, but her life is not as busy as mine, not true. You can do this. You need to bring people together, and you need to do it on your turf. Now, the first place I always recommend women do this is at their home. And I know what some of you are thinking because I've been told this by audiences by the thousands. Oh, I can't do that because my home isn't very big and it's not fancy. People don't like fancy. They find it intimidating. And if you can invite them into your home, you enjoy an intimacy of a commitment from other people that will return itself in terms of a network and what people are willing to do for you when you make that ask. So we're not doing fancy. What we are doing instead, and I often refer to the behavioral economist Richard Thaler, who does a whole series called The Nudge, and it's positive things you can do to increase the likelihood that somebody's going to take the action you want. There's only 2 you need to know. Total of 7 letters, fun and easy. When you make something fun and easy, either on your own turf or when you are bringing people together in a work environment, they participate. We all know this in practice. Have you ever gone to an event and you can't find a parking spot and so you decide you're just not going? Every time I have events, I make sure there's a lot of parking. And women in particular, it's like, I've got 30 minutes before I've got to pick up soccer practice, right? And if I can't find a parking spot, I'm not going. I also, find that if I don't have those things going on, when people show up, they're kind of bears because it was miserable to get there. So make it fun and easy. My example of how I do this annually in my life, I host a ladies-only holiday party. I invite hundreds of women to my house. Now, they're not all coming. My house doesn't hold hundreds of women. But I want you to understand the importance of an invitation. Everybody can't and doesn't want to come to an event. Everybody wants to be invited. That means I have a list of hundreds of women who I can contact at any point in the year, and they're willing to do something for me because I invited them, because they were included. This is all terribly easy to do. I'll tell you 2 other secrets I use to make this possible. Number 1, I meet everybody at the door of my home. I greet everybody who comes into my home, everybody who's a guest, I spend a few moments with. But it creates a problem. What if I invited somebody who doesn't know anybody, and they're now behind me, and they're standing by themselves? This is where we use secret greeters. I have a group of girlfriends who do this at my house, and what they do is they make sure nobody is by themselves. And if they see them, they're going to start a conversation with you, and they're going to learn about you, and they're going to thread you into a conversation with a group of other women. And I know how effective this is because women will tell me stories months later. Emily, when I was at your house, I met so-and-so, and she was so terrifically friendly. That's because she's a secret greeter. And I've never had such a good time. And that means they're willing to do, and it's not all transactional, but willing to do whatever I need because I have created an authentic and dynamic network. Finally, there's the question of, okay, Emily, you're going to do this in December. How the heck do you remember who you met in February that you want to invite? Me and my colleague Nadine have a secret tool there. It's called individual Gmail accounts that are specific to functions and identities and activities I do. So I have one for business development in Virginia, I have one for fundraising activities, and I have one for these ladies' Christmas party. So if I meet Michelle in February, I send an email to that address, that Gmail address, with Michelle's name. And when I sit down to do this, I have everybody in one place and it's not my inbox.
I'll be there.
Can't wait. Finally, networks aren't great if you don't use them. You need to make asks. You need to get comfortable making those asks. I call it planned serendipity. When you have a network and you make asks, there's opportunities that come your way that you would have never foreseen. And there's only one way not to be a part of planned serendipity, and that's not having the network and not asking for what you want. Oh, and connect with me on LinkedIn. There, your brand applies just as well. That selling you pitch in written form is your introduction on LinkedIn. I love that we are all on LinkedIn, and if you're not there, another place where planned serendipity takes place, except if you're not there. Going now. Did you know that more than 50% of the women on this globe are unsatisfied with their lives because they have a regret because they gave up on their dream? Almost none of us thought we were going to be a supermodel, but all of us have something in the back of our head that's important to us, that we want to do. Maybe for somebody it's starting a Substack. Maybe it's starting your own business. Maybe it's running for public office. Maybe it's like me writing a book. These things can all be possible, but you can't let dream slashers get in your way. If there's anybody out there who doesn't know that term and has never heard it before, that's okay because I made it up. But when I tell you what a dream slasher is, everybody knows because we all have them. I'm going to do this fill in the blank thing that's really important to me. As soon as my children are older, my mom's not sick, I lose 20 pounds, once I have the first $50,000 of investment, then I'm going to. That stops now, stops today. There is nobody in your way at that point except for you. What you need to do is make an individualized plan of action to get what you want. I think about every large corporation, every organization has a strategic plan to promote women. You need a strategic plan to promote just one woman. But the only person who can write it is you. The only person who can not overthink it is you. And the only person who can implement it, and implement it effectively, is you. And the only way it doesn't happen is you don't do it. This is how you scale your brand. Your brand deserves a plan of action. Scaling a plan of action means you must take risks. All of us identify risk-taking in different ways. And when I speak to younger women, frankly, some of them are just looking to cover rent and buy a sandwich, right? So they can't take a free internship. But I often tell them, if you want an internship at a place and it's free, you should go, and as we heard these executives say, and ask for it. Say, listen, I really want to work for you, but I can't do it for free. I cannot afford it. You ask for what you want. And if I'm sharing that kind of advice with young women, we certainly can implement a plan and ask for what we want as grown-ups and take risks. Risks also mean you're going to make mistakes. Now, I don't call them mistakes. I call them now I knows. because any woman who has gotten ahead has made a ton of them. And if every time I made a mistake, I literally physically fell on my face, I wouldn't have any front teeth. I do it to this day all the time. I make mistakes, and I always tell myself, now I know. That doesn't work. Now I know how this works. And I don't beat myself up about it. It has no use. Along the lines of your individualized plan, these kind of plans don't need to be shared with a lot of people, because back to your competition, the longer you can implement your plan without them seeing you coming, the longer you don't have to fight them off along the way. Do it secretly. Nobody needs to know. Finally, nobody dictates our character except for us. Nobody. This is what living without regret looks like. This is how women thrive. And it has a visual in how we carry ourselves in public. All of this starts now. I want you to take action now, like today, on what you want in life. And when you find that you're proud of yourself, send me a note. I love nothing more than cheering you on. Oh, thank you. So here I am at my ask. See, I'm good at making asks. If you're interested in bringing the Women Leaders series virtually or in person to your group, reach out to me. I am always looking for feedback. If you liked something or didn't like something, reach out to me. Join our movement on social media. Every Friday, among other things, I provide Friday tips for women. Just simple reminders we need that are helpful that you can implement immediately. Thank you to the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and Michelle for letting me spend some time with you, my new friends.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Stay right
Okay,
here, 'cause
sure.
that was really great. I mean, that was really great. So practical. When we can finish with practicality, and I said we're going to put it to action, but let's see how I do. Okay,
All right, let's do it.
Okay, ready?
Smile, one.
Hi, I'm Michelle Sakurka. I proudly serve as the president and CEO of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. I'm your boots on the ground each and every day to advocate on your behalf for an affordable and regional competitive business climate here in the state of New Jersey, and I am your championship for leadership here in New Jersey. What I need from you, I need every one of you today to leave this room and take action. You spend 2 days being fulfilled. Go tell the world, be an influencer, get in your spheres, and get it done. I'll be right beside you. Let's go. Let's build our great state of New Jersey.
Nice.
I think I was about 40 seconds.
That's brilliant. Thank you. It was brilliant.
Emily, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
That was great. All right, let's have another round of applause for Emily. What a great way to round it out. Look, some final shout outs to our incredible partners and our great speakers. Over 100 speakers, every one of them dynamic, courageous, transparent, inspirational. Hear, hear. All those great partners who brought their resources to allow us to spend these 2 days together. Thank you so much to every one of them. You'd be here till tomorrow if I read the list again. And I just have to say, I said it before, right? But we heard from all our panels. The only reason why you can be a good leader is when you surround yourself with great people. I have the best team who put this event together. Give it up for the NJBIA team. And because we know how to choose partners that make our events spectacular, thank you to Scally and the beautiful room and the great ambiance that we enjoyed for the last 2 days. A special thank you to this great host venue and to the amazing staff who took care of us for the past few days. Were they not so nice, courteous, and professional? Let's hear it for them. And of course, I have to thank all of you. As I said when we started, we are incredibly proud to have the opportunity to present an opportunity like this for you all to come in the room, to spend 2 days, to think about being present and working on how you can be the next best iteration of yourself in your leadership, in your sphere of your influence, and how you can make the change that you need to change to be the change that you want here in our great state of New Jersey. Thank you so much. Please be safe. My last call to action, come back next year. We'll see you then. Thank you.